Welcome to AI from the Trenches. I'm Duncan, and each episode we'll be talking to different people who've been involved in leading and implementing AI in the real world. This is not about technology, it's about the business, it's about implementing, it's about changing and leading. AI from the Trenches. In this episode, I'll be talking to Muna, who's built this fantastic personalised shopping experience for high-end second-hand fashion, all using AI. Welcome, Muna. Good to see
fun.
you. So before we start on this, I just want to dig into your background a little bit. So you created one of the UK's best performing TV adverts, didn't you? Do you want to take us back to that time and tell us a bit about how you thought about technology and AI? Maybe you didn't at all at that time, but what were your thoughts back then?
The words artificial intelligence meant absolutely nothing to me at that point. I don't think they really meant very much. I mean, they probably meant something to you when you were at Watson at that point. But no, for us, we were making big telly ads when those things were kind of important. And yeah, I was lucky enough to work with an incredibly clever bunch of people. And we made, as you said, one of the best performing UK TV ads, and also just one of the most creative as well. But artificial intelligence and actually technology altogether just didn't really exist. That ad was made in 2008, 2009. So, people were building websites at that point. I think the first iPhone might have been out around then. But, there was nothing, technology was not really something that was really on my radar, let alone artificial intelligence.
So you've gone from somebody who was in the marketing world, creating amazing TV ads, and now you're running this startup that's created an AI platform to help people personalize their secondhand shopping experience for high-end luxury fashion.
Yeah.
How did you make that transition from making TV ads to running what's essentially a tech startup?
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a stepping stone along the way, which was working in kind of digital marketing. So I did make that transition. Although I have to say I was the least technical person in that place. And I was still known as the TV girl, even then. But we did make an app, I did work on something, but I was the commercial and strategic person on that. So there were a bunch of software engineers that knew what they were doing. And I think the reason that I found it easier to kind of transition is, number one, just not feeling like there's a right answer. And also not overcomplicating things as well. So I didn't sort of walk in there thinking I need to really educate myself first before I have permission to try this. And I think that's always been my sort of kind of attitude to everything, really. And also, like I said, don't overcomplicate it. So if you think about, thinking about what a TV ad needs to do for you, or when I became a client at Diageo and Bacardi, what my entire marketing mix needed to do for me, I approached it exactly the same way when I started Circular. And you'll remember this, where I actually spoke about, okay, well, if I was going to have a shop assistant or a great stylist, this is what I'd want her to do or him to do. And these are the steps that I'd want them to go through. So keeping it incredibly kind of practical and actually quite analog, in terms of what it is and what your objectives are and how you think about it. Keeping it really realistic, as opposed to sort of thinking, I'm working with technology or artificial intelligence, I must put on a different head now, or just a different language or a different, set of expectation or anything like that. It's still the real world. The people that you're trying to interact with and trying to kind of convince or, and ultimately trying to get them engaged with your brand and to purchase your product are still exactly the same human beings they always were. The means you're doing it might be slightly different, but actually the kind of art of persuasion, the importance of brand, the being authentic about your brand, all those things still really matter, whatever you're doing. So I guess that's kind of, those were my golden rules, really. It's just, don't ask for permission. You don't really need to know very much. You're probably smart enough to get it to work, and you'll learn along the way. And the best way to do it is to actually do it. And the second one is keep it real.
Yeah. So do you want to take me through the problem that you're solving at Circular? What was the kind of core of what was really, if you had to boil it down to its essence, what are you trying to achieve here?
Yeah. So it was a light bulb moment. So I was working at Bacardi and I met a lady called, a great woman called Bay Garnett. And Bay Garnett was contributing editor at British Vogue. And she had put Kate Moss in a top that she thrifted for $7 from a Lower East Side thrift store in British Vogue in like the late 90s, early 2000s or something. This is when nobody was using secondhand in any way, kind of in an aspirational way, less alone in Vogue, alongside, you know, mixing it up with the season's most expensive kind of high fashion. So, and she did that. She was really pioneering. And so she styled something for me. She was a stylist that worked on a massive shoot that I did on one of the brands that I ran at Bacardi. And we became friends, and I was sitting at her kitchen table and she was complaining about how difficult it is to find great secondhand, how long it takes. And I knew secondhand was becoming increasingly popular. And so I just had a light bulb moment and thought, oh God, wouldn't it be brilliant to just solve that problem for people? You know, and it came from a really human kind of, you know, need and a very sort of opportunistic moment, really, to solve a problem that people were having in shopping secondhand. And I then started doing some research, and there's three things that make secondhand difficult to shop. One is the size disparity. Just everything comes in one size, and sizing is all over the place. So every item's unique in one size. Number two, everything's really jumbled up together. So you find secondhand is sold in kind of marketplaces or shops that are multi-brand. So you don't just walk into, you know, I'm a maximalist, I'll go and shop Versace. I'm a minimalist, I'll shop Acne. It's not like that. It's all completely mixed up together. So style is all over the shop. And also price can be incredibly unpredictable. So, and when I sort of realized those three things, they felt like data points to me. So the first thing, I didn't actually think AI for quite a long time. I actually thought data for a while. And so that's where I started. And I thought, well, if people's preferences can be turned into data, you know, I like a boho look, you know, that's a data point. I like this kind of cut. I like this kind of sleeve or this color. And if I can turn, and their sizing is clearly a data point and their price budget is clearly a data point, then how do I match that to the same set of data points in the clothes effectively? And that was like the first sort of thought I had. And then I discovered, like, you know, other things that were sort of matching or personalization or recommendations, all that sort of language started kind of creeping up in my research. And soon after that, I sort of found you. Well, I found artificial intelligence, something I'd never thought of. I thought it was just in sci-fi movies. Like, I think that's the only thing I associated with it, you know. Where else had anybody thought of that? I didn't know anything beyond that, you know, and this wasn't a very long time ago.
This was what?
2021.
You know, so it's not that long ago.
It was only 4 or 5 years ago.
But AI wasn't in the news as a thing.
AI wasn't in the news as a thing, and you know, we can talk about that. But it's the reaction I got from people was so polarized. So either when I mentioned artificial intelligence back then, people were either like, "Oh my God, that's incredibly fascinating," because they were very kind of, you know, forward-thinking people who'd maybe had some experience with technology before, or you had a huge amount of cynicism. Where it's like artificial intelligence will never be able to do that thing that a personal shopper does, or whatever. And I had that, by the way. I mean, I don't want to mention any names, but people who owned global retail, like had founded massive global retail brands, said that to me.
Right.
So really interesting. And then GPT came along and everybody just went totally the opposite way, which is just so extraordinary, really. But anyway, I kind of find it hilarious now. But so data. I started with data. Artificial intelligence I kind of discovered through literally just Googling, you know, because it was how in algorithms, really. I think I discovered algorithms, then artificial intelligence. And then I kind of sort of started Googling artificial intelligence, came across you, and then stalked you so that you'd help me.
And how did you go about? So you're telling this story here of somebody who's not come from a tech background, very much a marketing background.
I still don't consider myself tech. You know,
you're getting there, but at this point, certainly you're a novice in terms of what AI means and technology in general. And so you start to Google around, you start thinking, maybe there's something in this AI thing, maybe that can help me with this problem of large disparity of different items you're trying to sell. So how did you go from that kind of realization that maybe there's something there to actually building the platform that is now circular and that has AI embedded within it. Tell me a little bit about the story as to how that happened.
So I knew that we needed to collect as much data as possible, because at that point, the LLMs weren't a thing. I think they were kind of open source models you could use. And I remember you talking to me about Hugging Face and things like that, which really seemed actually quite scary, and felt like they were, we did explore that, and we did start trying to kind of create our own models and stuff, and we certainly tagged everything.
Yeah.
And so that's how we started, really. It was kind of thinking about collecting as much data as possible, but doing it in an incredibly analog way. So what I had was I bought a ton of inventory. I had that all tagged by people.
Manually tagged.
Tagged by people. Yeah. Now we do it using AI, and I've got to say the AI is a lot more accurate than the people. I mean, I mean it.
Yeah.
And much more predictable and consistent anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you tell somebody to tag something one style, human being, it's just extraordinary how people see things so differently.
Yeah.
So we started off doing that with all our inventory, but we also started collecting customer data. And I think this is the thing that I think is really important for everybody to understand, is when you start thinking about using AI, you have got to look at your own data first. You've got to optimize your own data, because that first party data, you need data you can trust. Yeah. Maybe it's not first party. Maybe other people have got, can source data from somewhere else that they trust, but it has to be really good data.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And that's why, for example, I didn't send pictures of clothes overseas to be tagged by people much more cheaply, for example, because I knew that nuance, that sort of difference in understanding fashion, and how to add that really important rich data to products was going to be incredibly important, that it happened over here, where we see fashion.
Because you're dealing in a world where the nuances between a certain type of dress is quite subjective sometimes.
But to be honest, having worked on global brands, I mean, when we made Nike Training Club, the idea of what the results people wanted to achieve in one country versus another, for example, were vastly different. So when we did Nike Training Club, it was built for women only. And when I did research in the US, Serena Williams was the epitome of physical beauty. You take that to Japan, no, they're really that isn't. And so actually, and it's the same for drinks. Their palettes are so different in different countries. So it's not really just fashion, but you're right. But it is applicable to so many brands that there are those kind of differences in different markets. Yeah. And so I do think that you need to understand your data, and you need to understand it and make sure that it's reliable data that you're working with to begin with. So that's where I started, and I spent quite a lot of time. So we collected a lot of data about our customers as well. So and it's still so exciting doing that, and it's extraordinary if you ask customers in the right way how much they'll tell you as well. So
because in your platform, you're getting people to fill in a quiz, aren't you, about what's their body shape, what's their sizing, what are their preferences?
Yeah, we're the only ones that ask about your body likes and avoids, because it's just amazing that retailers don't try and find that out about women when they're trying to sell them clothes. But we ask if you don't like your upper arms, we won't show you anything sleeveless, etc.
Yeah. So you have that very rich data set about your customers, so you really understand who this lady is and what type of clothes she likes and what type of body she has. And so you can then match that to the items. Yeah. So how do you do that matching?
So, I mean, it's really simple. I mean, it's very logical. You tell me that you don't like your upper arms. We boost or kind of bury different items, and the reason that it's really it works is that it's really important that your data is right, is that all our products are tagged really effectively. So if it is a sleeveless dress, then it's tagged sleeveless,
And that tagging is done by the AI.
Tagging is done by AI.
So
and it's brilliant.
What happens there? How do you?
So again, LLMs are the most extraordinary things, it's incredible, right? So I feel like when I started working in sort of digital agencies, made Nike Training Club, you did have to be a lot more technical to do technology than you do now. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is to do with LLMs, because and the fact that it's actually natural language, so I can write prompts now that work.
Yeah.
Sure, I need a software
Yeah.
developer to deploy them,
Yeah.
but and kind of automate it, and there needs to be a system built and agents built and everything. But that's incredibly easy to do,
Yeah.
and but I can be in charge of what that technology does by writing it in normal language.
So I think that's an important point, because I've seen that as you've been developing the platform, that you've been, as a marketing person, not as a technology person, you've been very hands-on, very actively involved in
I've written all the prompts.
writing the prompts yourself.
I've written all the prompts. Yeah.
And yet you're not a technology person.
No.
So there's something there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you have to be fairly logical, you know, but you know, it's incredibly simple, and it's something that you get a real feeling for as well. It's you sort of start to understand how not to confuse, you know, but it's an age-old kind of. I think this is the wonderful thing about AI now, which is my generation. We're taught how to write pretty well and clearly, and it's paying off in dividends, you know, because just knowing how to kind of communicate clearly and but also knowing how to break down the steps logically, and you know, not overcomplicate, not confuse. And you get a real feeling for it. I just think, and you can only do that by doing it. If I had to go away and read a book about it, you know, it's something I've never done. So I think there's a lot of people that are panicking out there about artificial intelligence and getting themselves on lots of courses. And I just find that just incredibly. I don't know. For me, that would never work because not because I don't like studying and learning. I certainly do, but because I just think you have to use it.
Is this the dive in? You have to get.
You've got to,
involved,
and it's so accessible. It's so easy to just get on with it, you know, and start using it. Really, I mean, you know, I know it can feel a bit scary for some people, but you just start. You know, you can create your own. You know, you can just get onto Gemini or ChatGPT and ask it some stuff.
But your tech team is not large, is it? I mean, it's
we're tiny, and so one of the biggest. I mean, we are run by a bunch of AI agents. I mean, you know, everything is pretty much done by AI agents, and there's, you know, just the people that are deploying them basically. So so we don't, you know, we. I mean, I do sometimes have moments where I feel a bit conflicted about this, because we did start off analog, like I said, and so I did have, you know, a bunch of fashion students tagging all our products. We had really, really experienced, great personal stylists and personal shoppers involved who were doing it manually all the way, and of course we had, you know, we still have real human customers giving us great feedback. So we still have that last bit, but everything else has been automated.
So the development process is you, Muna, involved in the detail, but not a tech person, working with your tech team, doing the coding, obviously, and building the kind of infrastructure that sits around these prompts that you're writing. And that, I think that sort of like integration of the business and the technology is super interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. So, I mean, it's the way I come up with the ideas for stuff to do for Circular. It's very much starting with the customer and thinking, you know, what would be most useful to her. So exactly the way you would as a product development person or a marketing person. Okay, so one example is we now create outfit builders. Okay, so and also we're just about next week to deploy a new agent, which is an outfit of the day. We're calling it OOTD plus. So it's like improving your outfit of the day. So OOTD is a thing, Duncan, and it's basically people taking pictures of their outfit of the day and uploading it to social media.
Of the day.
Outfit of the day. Okay. So it's a hashtag outfit of the day is a thing. So basically it's our users can upload their OOTD, and the plus is about us telling them how they might improve their outfit next time. If I put this outfit, my outfit of the day, uploaded it to circularfashion.com, and you are asked what you want to do with it next time. So do you want to make it more chic? Do you want to make it more sexy? Do you want to make it more cool? Or do you want to make it more formal?
Right.
And polished. So, or professional. Still thinking about that word formal. I'm not sure it's the right word, but you get my meaning. And I think those are the four main things that people probably want to try and do with their look. I could be wrong, but that's what we're going with. So, and so once you say, I want to make it more sexy, for example.
Yeah.
So, I put this picture up and it might say, well, instead of wearing a high neck, you might want to try a silky cami underneath or, or wear some great heels instead of those big chunky boots. And, so it's basically that. Or just try cinching in your waist with a nice belt, and give it a bit more shape.
Yeah.
So it's that. And so the process of it is just really thinking about, what do women want? They want styling advice.
Yeah.
They want to look like themselves, but better.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I start off with an incredibly human kind of need. And then I think about it really in terms, just practically, like what are the different ways that people want to look differently? Yeah. And then you put that all into a prompt. You include all your inventory in there as well. So of course, everything that it's fetching to kind of that silky cami or that belt or the, sexy heels or whatever, are all from our inventory. Clearly, I'm not doing, we're doing this for a reason. And suggesting them. And then I take that idea and a rough prompt to kind of explain it to a developer and talk about how do we deploy that. And it's actually something I'm going to grab 5 minutes with you after this to talk to you about, because we've built a sort of system, a process that we want to check with you. But and that's it, and we'll put it out there and try it. Yeah. And I do some testing myself we're using the AI directly.
Yeah. So in this new release, your customers will be able to take their selfie, upload it, and it will say, hey, this is what you can do, and then it's linking them presumably into your store
to the inventory
to say,
that can answer that question.
Here's actually
that can be the solution for
cami
them,
that would help you, and that's personalised not just to because you're secondhand. That's personalising to one specific item that's unique.
Absolutely, but it doesn't. You don't have to be secondhand to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so and it came from our outfit builder, which is just generally, I've got a black tie event. And we've got all your data, so we know your size, we know your budget, we know your style taste, etc. We know your body, and so we'll just build an outfit for you. Yeah. So that was our previous version of this. So it's just kind of thinking about useful tools, and honestly, they take days to deploy. And so it's kind of been our approach the whole time of sort of, just try it. And find a really quick way of doing it. So. I think you're actually going to get to a question about this, but we should talk about the moment that we did the WhatsApp and you're for.
Yeah, tell me. So you're on WhatsApp as well, and tell me about that, because that was that's a fascinating experiment, because I think a lot of what you've done is very experimental. You've been sort of pushing the boundaries a bit and trying new ideas, not just with the technology, but with how you interact with your customers.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, that was a real breakthrough moment.
Yeah.
But if you remember that was definitely the moment where that was the first moment where everything else has led from that moment, because it was the first moment where we were kind of using AI and LLMs in a way where we were owning it. We weren't using third-party software anymore, and we started really experimenting. And it also was such a breakthrough moment because it led to sales. Yeah. Which is
important.
Which is important. So to tell you about that, so what we started off as like I said, human stylists. Yeah. And we started off creating subscription boxes. So every month or 3 months, whatever you wanted, you'd get a box that's put together by a stylist for you, secondhand clothes. You buy what you keep. And then that proved like a really, really difficult and expensive business model. So I needed to automate that. Yeah. So first of all, it came from a business objective. Yeah. So how do I automate that personal styling experience and still make it feel really, really personalized? The first thing we did was use email. But I got so excited by even at the email stage, and we called it Your For. And so we picked 4 items every week that we'd pulled together for you. And we wrote specific copy that if you remember, I said to you, I want it to sound like the best personal shopper salesperson who knows you really, really well. Yes. When you go to really good shops and they'll look at, and they're judging so much. And I remember you saying to me, like, what is it that a stylist does then? And I'd be like, well, first of all, they'd check out X, Y, and Z about the user, the person, the customer. They would, so we got that information from the quiz about them. Then they'd try different things, and sort of to feel their way towards the right the right solution. So you try stuff and experiment with the client. Anyway, and then you'd use language. You'd play back what that client has said to you.
Yeah.
So we did that, but we used AI. So when a client says, I like a classic time, a chic classic kind of style or a boho style.
Yeah.
We would say, oh, so you like really refined, tailored, or you like, natural fabrics and flowy, and fringing and whatever boho things. And they'd be like, oh yeah, no, that sounds really like me.
Yeah.
So you play all of that back to them in a really natural sounding way.
Yeah.
And we tried email first, and email's just not as effective as I needed it to be something they couldn't ignore. Yeah. Just like the box turning up on your doorstep. Yeah. And so this is before anybody was using WhatsApp. Now everybody's using WhatsApp. But we tried WhatsApp because it's quite difficult to ignore WhatsApp. Yeah. I mean, and it worked brilliantly. It was just, I think conversions, most e-commerce around 1% conversion to purchase. And that was it. I think we were around 7%, which is ridiculous. Wow. So it worked brilliantly, and it sounded really natural. And actually, there was a human stylist would take over if the customer. I still had some online. Yeah. If the customer responded, I didn't create an entire bot all the way through. Yeah. But I still feel quite guilty about just how much people think that it's a real person talking to them.
So in this example, you're sending WhatsApp messages out to people on an automated basis, saying, "Hey, here's some here's an item of clothing.
This is what I know about you.
I know this.
Here's some stuff that you might like. Here are 4. Well, we now have 6 items that you might like, and this is why I've picked each one for you. Yeah. And the copy that's written about each item is based on what you've told us about yourself. Yeah. So if it is a long sleeve dress, it'll say, because I know that you don't like to show off your upper arms, and it's in a coral color because I know that's one of your favorite colors. Yeah. So all of it's completely. So I could be showing the same piece to 3 different people, but the way it's written will be based specifically on that person's information.
So that's really smart, because you're using the AI to generate this copy and to send out these messages hugely personalized. So every single message you send out is completely unique. Yeah. And you're doing that at scale. And then if a customer replies and says, "Hey, that looks good," or "That looks great, but have you got it in black or something?" then a human jumps in and replies.
Yeah, yeah. Although I'm looking to automate that even further. Yeah.
But as a process of, so you do the hard bit first with the AI. You automate the hard bit, which is sending out lots of messages.
And AI does it better than people. So when I was doing that, so when we first started and it was analog with subscription boxes, the stylists would and the personal shoppers would write the notes. We'd started off writing notes. And I found that they would keep repeating the same thing because they just would. It's just people, Yeah. We're not as limitless as an LLM, even in terms of our vocabulary, let alone our kind of imagination, right? So, actually, it's better. Yeah. And where it used to cost me £15 a box, a customer, it now costs me probably 15p, well, probably less.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it does cost me less. It costs me a couple of p to generate that.
So suddenly you can do this at scale, when previously you were sending out these physical boxes. So you got the human effort of packing stuff into a box, send it out. Yeah. You got the cost associated with that. Yeah. And now you're just sending a WhatsApp message.
But also the people were picking the items as well and writing the note that went in the box. Yeah. So now it's the picking and the writing. It's all done by AI.
And the picking and the writing, when the AI does it, is better than when the humans do it. Wow. How did the humans feel about this?
I mean, I never really asked. But, I mean, it's funny. Right at the beginning, there was a massive fascination amongst the team, because I did work with stylists at the beginning to think about the prompts and think about what steps they would take and, all of that sort of stuff. And there was some excitement. But, yeah, no, quickly there was clearly some concern. But by then we were already sort of automating and we didn't have those people involved. Okay.
So there was some displacement of humans in this process.
Oh yeah, huge, yeah.
But from a customer's perspective, they've got a better experience because they're getting more personalized, more accurate matches. They're getting copy, which is more personalised.
Yeah.
So it's a better experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are definitely people who miss getting a physical box sent to them that has been pulled together. I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that's going to kind of let's move on from that actually.
And was there? So when you implemented AI, so we talked a bit about how people reacted. Was there resistance? Did you get people pushing back and saying, "Well, I'm not sure. Maybe people don't want these automated messages." Was there a sort of pushback against this move to automation from your team or from customers even? How did the customers feel?
I've never had a customer say, "Is this a bot or is this?" So if they think that, then they've not said it. And we've had customers say a lot of things.
Yeah.
They respond. They say if it's not them, if it's not, it doesn't feel like it's a good match for them, etc. So it's people can feel very opinionated and quite emotional about when you're picking clothes for them. So we do get a lot of response. No, there's no sense of pushback. I mean, I think the people that have been displaced, definitely, if you ask them, they would be. But
But no, from customers, you haven't had somebody saying, "Oh, I don't want this spam stuff going out," or
No.
it's positive reaction to.
Yeah, on the WhatsApp, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think email is hard to judge, and I think email marketing can be a bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
But no, on WhatsApp, it's definitely there. We've also opened it up and been really transparent that it's not people now.
Yeah.
So you can actually go and create your outfits yourself. So you can literally click on our website. There's a button that says create outfit. You can upload something that you like from your wardrobe. You can upload something you've ordered from us, or you can just go freestyle, we call it, and just say, I want to style this for a black tie event or a night out or the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
So choose an occasion and it will come up with something for you. So items that make up an outfit, all in your style, size and budget, or with notes around how to wear it, etc. So they can see it's automatic.
Yeah.
They can see it's AI.
Yeah.
Whilst on WhatsApp, I'm not sure whether it was entirely clear whether it was being done by a person or not, and whether people knew that or not. But we've never had anybody actually say to us, "Oh, this is, This
but I think there's
AI.
another part there that I think part of this story is the evolution. So you started off trying to match individual items, and the things you've done more latterly, it's more about outfits, about combinations of things, and trying to actually solve I'm going to a party, give me the entire outfit rather than just I need a top or something. And I think I think that's kind of interesting that you're styling the person rather than just selling an individual item.
I mean, that's kind of basic merchandising, to be honest. I mean, people will sell a dress by putting it together on a mannequin and making it look amazing as a full outfit. So it's kind of, people will often buy one item if they see it in situ.
Yes.
So it's not so much that we expect people to buy a full outfit. That would be kind of a bit odd. But it's it's basic merchandising from that perspective.
But the solution itself, the platform, has very much moved into this space of trying to give you this ensemble of items and to show you not just the item on its own, but in combination with
and
other
making
things.
it more self-serve now as well. Like I said, you can actually go and click create outfit. But also the other thing you can do is if an outfit's made up of 5 pieces, you can dismiss 2 of them that you don't like and regenerate the outfit again, and it generates the image again with the with the items that make it up. And so you can keep trying to get the right full outfit for yourself. We've kind of quite gamified it. And people are really using it on their own. I was a bit worried that people would be irritated by the amount of time it takes, because it takes about a minute for each image and each outfit to sort of pop up, but it doesn't seem to be an issue.
So it was interesting because I remember we had conversations about this, the sort of trade-offs between accuracy of matching, etc., and the time it takes for the technology to find the right items. And it sounds like you've kind of arrived in a space where if the value of what you're going to give to people is sufficiently high, they're willing to waste a minute.
It looks like it. I mean, I think it's quite early days.
Yeah.
And I bet you there's probably some segmentation to do around that. Like, I think people who are more used to AI will probably be a bit more patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weirdly, you'd expect it to be a little bit the other way around, maybe. But I think we all know that, especially image generation, takes a minute to do. So, and all of this is kind of just generate an image because we put everything together on a model for you so you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For real. And it's a model that's your size as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's another part of the technology here is, we talk about LLMs, and you've mentioned LLMs a few times. LLMs, I think most people think of ChatGPT, etc. They think of text, but actually, in your situation, you've used a huge amount of image recognition and image generation, which is quite.
Image recognition is fantastic.
Yeah,
I've got to say, like, it's really, really good. And I mean, I don't understand the technology behind it again, but I think if you get your taxonomy right and don't overcomplicate it as well. I mean, I've heard of people having massive like labyrinths of taxonomy. You've seen ours.
Yeah,
it's what you need. You know, and it works. Like it's just and so and it's sensible and I think just keeping it really simple, really logical, really usable is incredibly important.
Yeah.
And not trying to run before you can walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you said, it is an evolution. It has to be an evolution, but you need to get started.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, thinking that having a perfectionist attitude to it is completely the wrong thing to do. You've got to have an experimental one.
Yeah.
And one of curiosity.
Yes.
Yes. And so and I know how annoying that sounds, by the way, because often you just want things to work.
Of course. Yeah.
And you don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You know, but I think if you don't do that, whether it's in your spare time yourself or do it hopefully through your work, then you'll never really understand the potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have a relationship with AI.
Yeah.
Like you need to build a genuine appreciation for what it's able to do and understand its character, like it's how it works.
And I think one of the things to me that stood out, being involved a little bit in what you've been doing, is your domain expertise has been so central. So you talked about the taxonomy, which is how you tag your items. You created that, I think, and you've been involved. I mean, I've seen you interacting with the tech team, trying to inject that real kind of expertise and understanding of what are the customers like and what do they need. And I heard you say several times, like talking about the we need to think like the customers. We need to think of who these people want.
Quite difficult with an all-male software engineering type scenario, trying to convince them the difference between a cowl neck and a boat neck. But anyway,
yeah. I mean,
and a sweetheart neckline.
That's a whole other. We could have another conversation for another hour about why is the software industry so full of men. But that's I know it's been one of your frustrations and one of the things that you've wanted to try to get women involved with, because it's difficult for, as you say, it's difficult for me to understand the terminology that you're talking about, because it's not something I deal with every day. But
I mean, everybody needs to kind of have some appreciation for it. And luckily we've got a great team that does that now. But
So coming through, so we started out talking about your background, coming from this marketing world. You've developed this platform, this incredible personalisation capability, and we've moved on to, you've evolved this over time, and thinking, just stepping back a bit and thinking about the world that you came from. If you're a marketing director or somebody in the ad world, what would you say to them about AI now?
I think, two things probably. First of all, ring fence some resource to do some discovery and experimentation would be my first thing. You don't have to plunge in and start putting 20% of your marketing budget towards something called AI. Yeah. Or that has AI involved in it. And secondly, make sure that you've got the right people to guide you. There's a ton of hype. There's a lot of BS, over promising.
Yeah.
And also like quite lazy solutions where there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, you just plug and play this and it'll just it'll do recommendations for you.
Yeah.
It'll do personalization for you.
Yeah.
It'll do everything, and it's just not true.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that guidance, that consultation right at the kind of basics of your business, like what data do you use? What are those business objectives? And getting those things right and aligned, then anything that you use is just not going to work. It's not going to work properly.
Yeah.
It's you could get very lucky, but I've never seen it happen. So I think you need, those two things. So experiment and make sure you have a really good guide. I thought I had a third, but no, done.
And so if you were back at working with Diageo or Nike or one of these big companies, what would make you nervous about AI?
I think there's a lot around sort of due diligence and consumer data and all of that stuff. So you have to be incredibly careful. It's really easy for us as a small business to kind of not have to take those things too much into account. But there's ways around them, and again, having the right people around you to keep it sort of safe. I mean, it was exactly the same in the days of social media. I remember people being absolutely terrified about people posting stuff on their brand social media accounts and things going wrong. And, there were a couple of examples of things going wrong. Because you're handing over your a brand channel to a bunch of people to do stuff with, and, and it was pretty unregulated compared to TV ads that had to go through a million approvals. So, so it's pretty much the same, really. But I guess it would be find the right reason. Actually, is the biggest thing. Like, what's the right reason to use AI? So start. I think being able to share a bunch of objectives with the person that's helping guide you to an answer is the most important thing. Because if they're the right person, they'll turn around and say to you, actually, I don't think AI is going to help you with that bit. Like, I think with the way you're doing it already is just the best way to do it. But there's something around this that you might not have even thought of. Sometimes it's the most incredibly surprising things that AI can be the answer for. And so this is what I mean about don't turn up thinking you need to know the answer. I think you need to just turn up with the right kind of questions and have a really good person helping you along the way.
So be inquisitive.
And share information. It's not so much kind of turning up having written a brief for AI. It's turning up and being able to talk about your business. What's going on. And then seeing what happens from that. And where AI can help you. Because like I said, it's sometimes in the most surprising ways. And because marketing directors are not the experts in AI. So thinking that you're the person that should be turning up and knowing what the answer is just a little bit short-sighted.
So being open-minded to the possibilities.
Yeah.
Interesting. So a fascinating story, Muna. Coming to the end here of our conversation, if people had to remember one thing from what we've been chatting about, what do you think? What would you like them to remember from this?
I suppose the best piece of kind of advice I can give is don't think that you have to be an expert, because that mentality can be such a hindrance to this. And instead approach it with curiosity and open-mindedness, but and just share information, but make sure that you do have a great expert on board. I mean, if you think about all the disasters that I don't think that, I mean, I'm genuinely not just saying this, but, and I say it to you all the time, but it's, if we hadn't had you guide us along the way, then I probably wouldn't have a business now, because I would have made so many costly decisions, mistakes. And there were a couple of times where we started along that route and then changed very quickly. And your guidance has definitely been the reason we've been able to do that. And it's been an evolution and a healthy one because of that guidance. Because it's very difficult to think of that yourself when you're not the expert. But all I've done is come up with the way I've spoken to you, I think has been, you know, I really wanted to sort of try and do this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's literally been that,
Yeah.
that kind of, there's never been a kind of brief, or I've never gone away and sort of researched it a ton, or, you know, I've come with very sort of, not vague ideas, but kind of areas I think I'd like to try.
Yes.
And you've told, there's times where you've told me no.
Yes.
That's not, you know, that's not, you know, no, it's not, you can't do that. Before image gen and before video gen, for example, you were like, no, it's not ready to do that. It's not, it's going to be really, don't even go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course now that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But, and then, you know, it's not what AI is good at. You know, you've given me that answer a lot. So, and I've gone away and just found another way of doing it, or not done it at all. But, so you have to kind of come with a very open brief of, I want to try and achieve this with my user, my customer.
Yeah.
And like, can we now think of ways that might be made better, cheaper, faster, and better through AI, and let that person help guide you through it. And it's a really creative process, actually.
It is.
Yeah, and very collaborative one. It has to be.
Yeah. Well, I think that's shone out as we've talked about this, the kind of combination of domain expertise and technology sort of working together hand in hand. I think it's
in an incredibly human way.
Yes. Well, thank you, Muna. It's been lovely to hear the story.